All right, so I will not be going till 1:30. Just want to assure you of that. Okay, I see some applause. My goal is to end by 1 o'clock, if that's okay. I am going to be sharing what God is doing through an organization called SALT Outreach. And so before we do that, before I get started, I'd just like to say a quick prayer as well. We can pray real fast here. Father, I thank you for the opportunity to share about what you are doing for people experiencing homelessness in Central Florida and beyond. Father, we pray that you get all the glory here, Father, that you speak through me, you fill me with your spirit, Father, you speak this morning. And Father, that as people hear what is going on with SALT, that Father, the principles and the testimonies that are shared might be something that they can apply to their own lives. Because Father, the way you provide for this organization is also the way you provide for us individually, Father, and the way you show up for us individually. We thank you and pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so I'm going to play a quick video for you. It's going to go through a quick rundown of our history. It's going to give you a visual, but before that, I want to share two things. Our mission statement is to share Christ's love by serving the unsheltered through comprehensive mobile drop-in centers. I'll share with you what that is here in a sec. Our vision statement is not just contained here to Florida or even Central Florida. It is a national vision that we have. Our vision is that every metropolitan area in the U.S. has a comprehensive drop-in center for people experiencing homelessness. This doesn't say that SALT is in every metropolitan area, right? It doesn't say SALT in there, but it says that there is a comprehensive drop-in center. So that basically in every metropolitan area in the U.S., people experiencing homelessness can get their basic needs met, can be navigated through an often fragmented homeless services system to housing, and be able to retain that housing, but most of all, that they get to know who Jesus Christ is, as we serve them, as we love on them. And so that might mean us empowering other groups to do the same thing. And that's okay, that's in our vision, right? It's not that SALT is everywhere. And that's the thing. We can't end homelessness in silos. We need to work together. It takes a community. It takes collaboration. And so I'm going to play a quick video for you that'll show kind of the history and give you a quick visual of SALT. Oh. Homelessness in Central Florida is just getting so much worse. Shelters are at capacity, rent is at all-time highs. Every $100 increase in median rent equals a 9% increase in homelessness. And there's been a $550 increase in median rent in the past 3 years. That means a 50% increase in homelessness. So we're starting to see that now, especially among youth and young adults, seniors, people 55 plus are becoming homeless. And I think a lot of the time people look at the people that are living on the street and they think that they've been there forever. But over the past 4 years, about 75% of people experiencing homelessness have been experiencing it for the first time. The story of SALT is a story of God using average people that have leaned on their faith and wanted to make a difference in the community among people experiencing homelessness. Before I became a Christian, I had experienced homelessness myself. I was about 20 years old. And not having access to things like a place to wash clothes, not having access to a case manager to help me understand what services were available to me and what I qualified for, and to help me navigate the system, it was really difficult. And I think as I became a Christian and started to think about how can I take this energy that I was putting into the world before into something that God can use.
So we were doing breakfast. We would serve about 8 to 16 at a time, but that started growing.
Together I got with some friends. We came up with some names. We took a poll, and SALT was the name that came out from Matthew 5:13, that we are the salt of the earth.
So yeah, this was pretty much the OG group, 2012, 2013. So, it was a bunch of different ministries and outreaches that Eric and a few others kind of brought together.
So it went from 16 to 20 to 50 to 100.
We didn't have enough benches to fit the amount of people coming.
I didn't realize how fulfilled I felt by something so simple.
We were cooking out of restaurants. We would have hotels send us food. We'd have people bring food. We'd have churches, other organizations donate food.
I kind of joke that making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich kind of changed my life.
Towards the end, we were serving, I think, close to 200 on Saturday mornings.
And as we continued to share food, we didn't want to just stop at food. And so we started to provide clothing and hygiene products, which ended up leading to us fundraising for a clothing trailer that we called our Change Trailer.
But that started growing.
We didn't know it at the time, but that trailer helped inspire kind of our model moving forward in how we deliver our services by really just meeting people where they are.
And then the next big milestone was our shower trailer.
We found out that over half of the people we were serving were actively looking for work, but those same people hadn't showered in 3 to 7 days on average. There were some people going on job interviews that hadn't showered in 3 months. So we're like, okay, there isn't enough shower capacity in this community. There needs to be something to provide showers. And that's when we fundraised about $40,000 for our shower trailer. So now we're providing food. We started bringing in barbers to do haircuts. We're doing showers, and we're doing clothing and hygiene products.
We have the clothing trailer, and we're just giving out clothes, giving out clothes, giving out clothes. And it's just like, this is kind of wasteful. Let's find a solution for that. And that's where the laundry trailer came in.
And we started to add other services like mail services. We added limited storage services, charging stations for the unsheltered.
Are you already signed up for showers?
But there needed to be a comprehensive drop-in center in the downtown Orlando. There needed to be a front door for people experiencing homelessness. A place where someone can come and say, I want my homelessness to end, and a case manager can guide them through that process from beginning to end.
Let's really start attacking the roots of the homeless issue, and let's really try to help them on another level.
Now that case management program went on that year to help 1 out of 5 people transition to shelter or housing, and 3 out of 4 take the next step toward ending their homelessness. And since then, they're on track to helping directly end homelessness for either one family or person a week, and divert people away from the system, because our system's already burdened.
This is the past, but I also see the future in these pictures. Yeah.
Homelessness in Central Florida is just getting so much worse. We are trying to do what we can to meet the need, to keep up with the need, but it's becoming overwhelming. It's a lot. Our community is just not able to handle the influx that we're seeing right now. It's not people that are there just all the time, you know, and we're seeing a lot more first-timers.
Put you in the system, I just have to ask you a few questions, okay?
And so as God continues to write this story, we're hoping that more people come together and want to be a part of the story with us together.
We're so thankful that in January of 2024, we were awarded a grant to work with homeless youth.
It's for unaccompanied minors from ages 16 to 17 and young adults from 18 to 24.
We just got both of our trailers delivered yesterday. This big trailer here is going to be dedicated to youth and young adults experiencing homelessness.
We're going to be providing the case management support, the day services supports, the showers and laundry and all that stuff.
And it has both laundry and showers inside the same trailer.
We're really excited. We think it's going to make a big difference here, and that's going to be 5 days a week. So it's basically doubling our current 5 days a week here in downtown Orlando to now an additional 5 days a week across the Central Florida area.
Yeah, you hear that all the time. Like, yeah, I used to work in corporate. I used to work in that office building until my wife died, until, you know, I got in a car accident, until I had a stroke. And
it's crazy, because as we see this increase in homelessness, the increase in evictions, you know, the increase in rent prices, we're not seeing an increase in wages. The wages has pretty much been the same. It's no longer just a homelessness crisis, it's an emergency. this is nothing new. We're not doing anything new here. This is what God has asked his people to do. And we're just following that calling. And we're excited because so many people have joined this calling with us. Every day is a new page in the story that God is writing through Salt. We all are just working together to help provide the most vulnerable, not only with their basic needs, the most basic human needs, but also to help end their homelessness, to revive that hope in them that one day they don't have to be living on the street. They can be in a home. And our hope is that you join us in becoming a part of that story here in Central Florida. So I like to start with that video to kind of give you a visual, kind of give you a quick rundown, kind of saves us some time too on what SALT is doing. And just to kind of summarize some of the services that we offer here, you can see here that we offer showers through shower trailers. We have about 6 trailers now. We do haircuts, clothing, food, hygiene products. We also do storage services. So storage is important, right? If people are going to a job, they need to store their belongings somewhere. And usually they try to hide it. A lot of times it gets stolen, right? So being able to store your belongings when you're going to job interviews, medical appointments, things like that is really important. So we do storage, we do laundry services, we do charging stations. So many people experiencing homelessness don't have anywhere to charge their devices at night, right? They can't be on private property overnight. So being able to have a charged device, they can get calls back from employers, they can get calls back from their housing case managers. These are all that's really important piece. Mail services, we're doing mail for about 400 different people. We're like a little mini post office, downtown. So, many times when you're experiencing homelessness, you burn bridges with banks. So you need to get your paycheck sent somewhere, your social security check. You need to get medication maybe mailed to you. If you lose your ID, that needs to get mailed to you. So another very important piece. And then we have what we call those are our outreach services, and then we have what we call our care services. So care services are case management, which helps navigate people toward ending their homelessness. We have mental health counseling, especially for those that are experiencing chronic homelessness. And then we also have spiritual care. So we actually have hired pastors on our team to help meet the spiritual need for people experiencing homelessness. And I'll talk more about that later. So when we started with that clothing trailer, started real small. We raised about $4,000 for that, had some carpenters donate the supplies and their time to build out the inside so we can distribute clothing and hygiene products there. We did that at the end of 2016. And we continued those surveys, like I mentioned in the video, and we launched our shower trailer here. In 2018, it was only about $40,000 for this trailer. The solar was like another 15, solar panels on top. Orlando Utilities Commission, OUC, actually donated the solar for that trailer. So we don't need a generator to plug in or anything like that. It helps us to be more agile, more mobile, flexible. So in 2018, we're operating once a month with showers, clothing, hygiene products. We were doing haircuts, and we're doing food. And so we believed God was calling us to operate at least 3 days a week in the city of Orlando. And we're only operating once a month in 2018. In 2019, we moved to twice a month. And that was when we put a little proposal together. We got into everyone's hands, and the city of Orlando seemed like the best prospect. We went to the top boardroom with the main decision makers at the city of Orlando. There were people at the city that were kind of like on our side that even printed out the proposal themselves and had it in their hands. Then there were other people that were meeting us for the first time. And so at the end of that meeting, they ended up denying us for funding. And so we were disappointed. We were a little sad, but we're like, you know what? It doesn't change what God has called us to do. God has called us to do this 3 days a week. He's going to provide a different way. So we said, okay, let's keep going. We'll raise the money a different way. God will provide a different way. So we continued, and we started into 2020. We raised a little extra money. We moved to 3 days a week. 3 days a month. And then in February of 2020, we hired our first 2 employees, 2 part-timers, to operate once a week. And then COVID hit in March. So when COVID hit, homeless services was turned upside down. Most places closed down. and they weren't serving the unsheltered. So you can imagine when you're experiencing homelessness in a busy city and it's like a ghost town, like everything's closed, there's no one around. And so it must have felt like the end of the world for them, you know, how scary and alone people might have felt during that time. And so we came together and we prayed, you know, because COVID, that whole thing, it was scary, right? And so we prayed and we're like, you know what? We believe God is calling us to continue to operate. We made that decision based on a few things. One is, you know, we're an outside operation. So we could space people out, we could sanitize things, make sure we're not spreading anything. Two, we'd be the only one offering these services in all of the city of downtown. So we were like, we felt really called to do this. And the other thing was a lot of our frontline people at that time were really young and they were less likely to die from the virus. So we're like, okay, you know what? Let's keep going. We decided to continue moving forward and then we get a phone call. It's the city. They're like, hey, can we revisit that proposal? And they gave us $200,000 to operate 3 days a week in the city of Orlando. So something really a lesson that we pulled out of that, you know, if we were so discouraged when we got rejected in 2019, we might have just been like, you know what, God, maybe you're not calling us to do this, right? You know, we slowed down or we stopped, and we would have totally missed that blessing in March of 2020. I would not be in front of you today. And so sometimes, you know, one of the things that helped us get through that time is when you pray for confirmation, right, for God to confirm to you what it is He wants you to do, and you are 100% sure, when you hit a problem, it's not a wall, it's a speed bump. And so we looked at that as a speed bump toward where God wanted us to go. And so, anyway, we started operating 3 days a week. We ended that year with 8 staff, and we continued moving forward, you know. And we were like, you know what? We need to do more for our guests experiencing homelessness. We need to help end their homelessness. Let's figure out a case management program. So we went ahead and hired Renee here on the right. She's a licensed clinical social worker, part-time, in October of 2020. We worked together to create this case management program. We launched it in January of 2021. And Leslie, we hired as our master's level social worker as well. They had 6 social work interns from the University of Central Florida. They launched the program. That year, 1 out of 5 people transitioned to shelter or housing. 3 out of 4 took the next step toward ending their homelessness. Currently, our case management team has grown. We still have about 4 or 5 interns. We have about 10 plus case managers on our team. And right now, they're ending homelessness for about 2 people a week. And so they're continuing, by God's grace, to move forward and get people into housing. And so one thing I want to emphasize before we play this video is, you know, and I like to parallel this to like kind of the spiritual, you know, the church world in a way. So like when someone is, you know, I think a lot of the time, right, we can be so tunnel focused on baptisms, right? And so we're like, okay, we need to baptize, you know, 100 people this year. And so when we get someone baptized, sometimes there's some places that will say, okay, you're baptized, good. Okay, on to the next person. Okay, you're baptized, good. On to the next person. And see, the reality is baptism is the beginning of the journey, right? This is where they need a lot of support. And so in the homeless services world, I think that there are some organizations that are so tunnel focused on housing people that once they get someone housed, they're like, okay, your house, great, let's go on to the next person. Okay, your house, next person. And this is the beginning of a new journey for that person, right? And so a big part of what we do, you know, obviously, like, we believe relationship is key in helping to end homelessness. And so relationship doesn't stop when someone gets housed. Then that's not a genuine relationship, right? Relationship continues. So we have a housing retention program where our spiritual care team will do regular visitations, and they'll also have regular appointments with our case managers so we can be proactive. So if anything's going to happen that might affect them losing their housing later, we can jump in and try and help. So this is an example of one of our clients that was housed, how we continue that relationship afterward.
Taking a shower or doing a load of laundry, things that some of us can do routinely without a thought, but that is not the case for everyone in our community.
This week's Community Champion is working to change that and change the lives of those struggling with homelessness. Sonica Dange introduces us to SALT.
How are you doing today, Curtis?
All right.
Curtis Hawkins is back at SALT Outreach today, an organization that changed his life a little more than a year ago.
What can I help you with today?
I want to schedule an appointment.
The nonprofit organization, which stands for Service and Love Together, launched at the end of January 2021. Its goal is to take the homeless to homebound.
I was in my car. I was sleeping in public parking lot. I was sleeping in the center parking lot. I was sleeping just about everywhere.
Curtis had heard about SALT from a friend in a similar situation. The Mobile Day Center, located on West Central Boulevard, offers mobile shower units, laundry services, haircuts, even mail service.
A lot of people, they need an address to be able to progress, to get their social security checks, their food stamp cards, their IDs. And so this has been a key piece in helping to end homelessness.
You need socks?
Curtis is one of hundreds who didn't just find a hot shower and food when he arrived.
Do you have your transportation information there?
A case manager helped transition his life back under a roof. They even linked him with physical therapy.
I learned how to talk more better. I could walk more better. Before, I was having problems. Yeah. When I got on the phone, I talked to somebody, like I call the organization. I talked to them, the lady would hang up, cause my speech.
After about half a year of SALT's help, Curtis moved into his new home in the summer of 2021.
This is a note we sent to Curtis after he moved into his place.
Framed on his wall, a letter from his friends congratulating him on his success.
Having those relationships and being able to call somebody by name and they know that you care about them.
That is key to SALT's success, because the more a client comes back to take a shower or do laundry, the more likely they are to sign up for services like case management, which can lead to help finding housing or medical services. SALT survived for much of the pandemic through local and state grants and from donors across the country. But while the COVID grants are coming to an end, high inflation and a lack of affordable housing is driving demand for services up.
We'll call you when we're ready, okay?
That's why the organization is so grateful for the volunteers and donors who support their cause.
I just feel so grateful to be a part of the journey that I see they're not just people who are experiencing homelessness, they're truly people that we build connections with, like I care about, and I don't want to see them in this situation.
And even after the clients have been homed, SALT continues to check in, helping book medical appointments when needed and maintaining bonds that were forged for life.
Now, you've been housed for a year?
Yeah, about for a year.
How has that been?
It's been great. I can take a shower when I want to. I can just lay around, and it was a blessing. It was the blessing. With SALT gave me security. Cause sleeping in my car, we don't really get no sleep because you're sleeping with one eye open. Mm-hmm. Every little thing you hear, you wake up.
You sleep with both eyes closed now?
Yeah. I wake up refreshed.
Sonica Dange, WESH 2 News.
So this is, and again, as we continue to build relationship with Curtis, we find out that, hey, he needs a new bed. We reach out on social media, who has a bed to donate, and pick it up, drop it off, and now this is him excited about his new bed. So this was our spiritual care team. Wilfredo on the left has recently left, but Pastor Joffrey's still with us. Pastor Wilfredo moved recently. But our spiritual care team, they make sure that I think a lot of the times when you're working with organizations that have so many logistics, a lot of moving parts, it's easy for the spiritual side to kind of like take a back seat. And so we didn't want that to happen. And so what we did is on Faith in 2021, March of 2021, we hired our first pastor for the outreach. No grants, technically cover that, right? So it was a faith move for us, but it was so needed. They're doing group Bible studies 4 days a week for our guests. They do one-on-one Bible studies for those that request that. They also do, they'll go out to lunch, they'll go out to dinner with people, they'll go out to events with people, with a group, and build relationship. Last year, they did 2 weddings for guests that we moved into housing and wanted to, ask them to be the one to marry them. They do memorial services for guests that pass away to help everyone else have closure. They do house blessings for our guests that move into housing. They're doing it now every quarter. It used to be once a week, but every quarter. So they do kind of an add-on to their group studies. Every quarter they do an event, and they ask if people want to be baptized, right? So so far this year, 15 people have given their life to Christ through baptism. There's so many stories I could share about that. We don't have a lot of time. I actually want to share one. So we had a guest come. He got baptized, and then the next day for the group Bible study, he didn't show up. So our pastor was like, "Man, what happened to him?" It's like he got baptized. Like I would think the day after, he would probably come to Bible study, right? So the next day he wasn't there. Then the third day he comes back, and he was bruised up, bloody, and all that. And we're like, "What happened?" And had bandages and stuff. He was like, "You won't believe what happened. Right after I got baptized, I got jumped and all my stuff got stolen." But he was like, "You know what? I know what that is. That's the enemy trying to get me down for being baptized, for giving my life to Christ. And I know that. And I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep pushing forward." And so, imagine if he wasn't baptized that day. He wouldn't have made that connection, right? And now he knows that there's a veil, right? That when you can see behind the veil, right? And you see that there's a war between the enemy and God, which God has already won the war through Jesus Christ, right? But anyway, so that's kind of that's just a quick story. But anyway, it's very impactful for our guests for the baptism. In April of 2021, we launched a laundry trailer. It has 6 washers and dryers in it. So far in our downtown location, we're doing about 80 showers a day, like 55 loads of laundry a day. With our laundry trailer, we did a ribbon cutting. In that ribbon cutting, the mayor came out. We had some commissioners. We had some local leaders come. And the mayor surprised us, and he actually made a proclamation that day be Salt Day, Service and Love Together Day in the city of Orlando. So that was pretty cool. So it's also tax day. Yes, I know you're all thinking that. Oh, that's tax day, but it's also National Laundry Day. So that's why we did it. Yeah, it was strategic. It was actually strategic. Then we started to launch a new trailer. We actually expanded to our first new city, and this was in Sanford. This trailer was half purchased from Advent Health, half from Spider Controls. It's an Adventist company in Canada. And this trailer was launched for Sanford, Florida. One thing, I won't show that video. So we started operating in Sanford kind of on faith. We didn't really have a lot of funding to get going there. We started to operate once a week, build relationship with people. And, we were hoping that God would open doors for us to expand our operation. And so Universal Studios, at the end of 2023, gave us $100,000 to expand the operation in Sanford. So now we're 3 days a week there. So we're really excited about that. And so this trailer right here is, every time we get a new trailer, we get like little added features because we learn a couple things. So this trailer is unique in that it has an ADA bathroom in it with a shower, and it also has a wheelchair lift for people. Have a lot of people with mobility challenges. And in the back of it, there's actually a panel that kind of pops up. And there's 3 sinks in the back, so people can shave, brush their teeth. They don't need to take up a bathroom. This was sponsored by a company called Link Logistics, a real estate company. So now that's part of the ribbon cutting there. So one thing I want to share, and I'll kind of the backstory on this picture, is as you open yourself up, as you create capacity for you to serve more, right? God fills that capacity, right? You just need to be prepared. You need to ready yourself for that increase, right? And so we got this trailer. It wasn't committed anywhere. Link Logistics was like, hey, we'll buy you a trailer. We're like, okay. All right, great. Yeah, do it. Let's do it. And so we got the trailer, but it wasn't committed anywhere. So right after the ribbon cutting, we get a phone call. It's a shelter in Sanford. They're like, hey, our bathrooms are down for our women and children. We don't have showers or bathrooms for them. Do you guys have a trailer that's available to help with this? It could be a month. And we're like, actually, yeah, we do. Here, you just did a ribbon cutting. We went right over there to help the women and children in that shelter. And so, see, that's how God works, right? You prepare and He fills it. So now, one thing about, well, we'll go on to the next thing here. So this trailer right here is our trailer dedicated to youth and young adults experiencing homelessness. So this trailer has 3 bathrooms, ADA compliant as well, with a wheelchair lift. The difference with this one, it has 2 washers and dryers also in the middle of the trailer. So it has both showers and laundry in the same trailer. This will be dedicated toward youth and young adults experiencing homelessness ages 16 to 24 across Central Florida. And so we, when we bought this trailer, this was purchased by an insurance company, you know. We're like, want to buy a trailer? All right, you know, yeah, we'll take it, you know. And so we took the trailer, but you know, God later told us what that was going to be used for. There was a grant opportunity to service youth and young adults 5 days a week. If we didn't have this trailer, we couldn't have applied for that grant. We would not have gotten that opportunity. And so the other thing, though, is right around the time we did this ribbon cutting, there was a fire at the men's shelter in Orlando. Coalition for the Homeless, 250 men, most of them are working, were displaced from that shelter. 100 were able to get split up into different shelters, but 150 had nowhere to go, so the city was like, talk to a church. The church was like, yeah, you can put them in our gym, so that's the setup in the gym. But the city called us and they're like, hey, the church won't let us do this unless there's additional shower and bathroom capacity. Do you guys have an extra trailer that you can use to help with this? Otherwise, we can't get these 150 men into this shelter. We're like, actually, yeah, we do. You know, we'll come right over. So we went right over there the next day with this trailer. That's it, parked right in front of that church there, to provide that to help assist those men that were in need during that time. You know, as you build capacity, right, God fills it. And so this building I want to show you guys, this actually is getting renovated now. It's for youth and young adults experiencing homelessness. It'll actually be a day service center building that'll have washers and dryers and mail and lockers and you know, storage and all that stuff. And it'll be a place that they can come out of the elements and actually be comfortable, be in AC, right? Get out of fight or flight mode for a while. And while they're there 5 days a week, we have housing case managers. We have partners here helping getting them linked to housing. Our spiritual care team will be taking shifts here at this center. We're going to actually talking about doing a little church service on Sabbath inside of here. And so one thing that is also cool about this is that trailer that we dedicated for youth and young adults will be going across Central Florida, Osceola, Seminole, and Orange County to engage youth and young adults where they are as well. So not only will we have this stationary place, but we will be going out providing those needs. So this trailer right here is, this is a newer trailer. It looks kind of scary, but we haven't wrapped it yet. We're still working on it. I just want to show you guys. This is actually going to be our mental health counseling office trailer. So it's actually built out to be a mental health counseling office that we can bring to people in need and eliminate the barrier of transportation to get someone the counseling they need. So this will be 3 days a week in Bithlo, 2 days a week with youth and young adults. So now, one thing that's just kind of blows my mind a little bit is starting next year, we will be tripling our operation. We will be in 4 locations 5 days a week, and hopefully Lake County, you know, 3 to 5 days a week. So now hopefully it will. It is happening. It is happening. Yes, yes. So over the course of time, we have served 7,000 different people with over 300,000 different services and resources. After services with SALT, about 1,500 people have ended their homelessness. So in cooperation with our case management team or partner agencies' case management teams. We found a direct correlation between the frequency of visits to our site and successful housing outcomes. You know what that tells us? That tells us that relationship is key in helping to end homelessness, right? The more often they come back, the more you build a relationship, the more likely their homelessness will end. So this video right here, you can play that one. It's short. So this video right here is our first trailer out of the state of Florida. It's our branch in San Diego. They just got their trailer 8 months ago and have been operating, serving hundreds of people a week. They're able to bring out the trailer at least once a month. They baptized their first family this past Saturday and have gotten 3 families into housing, and they're continuing to move forward in faith. God has, it's been cool. I actually spent a couple days with them. We went out, we went out to some of you might be familiar with 3ABN. We went out to 3ABN with him, and we did some episodes together sharing about what's going on with SALT San Diego. So I'm gonna close here with 2 stories, and then we'll be done. So this story right here is recent. This happened in July. We had a corporate partner that was promising $130,000 to us at the beginning of July. So that corporate partner called me at the beginning of July. I mean, I'm talking MOU signed, you know what I mean? They've given us more money the year before, great relationship, we're like on a text basis, you know what I mean? They call me, they're like, Eric, we actually don't know when we're gonna get you that funding now. There's some internal issues, and we don't know. So now, we're scrambling because that's a big check, right? And so I go to our finance guy, I'm like, look, if we lost $130,000, you just take that off our cash flow projection, how does that affect us? He said that we would have to shut down our Orlando operation, where we're seeing over 100 people a day. We'd have to shut it down by a little over 80% for 3 months. That means hundreds of people a week going without 7,000 plus services and resources a week. And so obviously that was very heart-wrenching for us, very emotional. I reached out to different groups and to see who might be able to fill a gap for us so we don't have to stop services for this group, right? These are people that we care about. We know their names, we know their stories. We see them every day, we talk to them, and we did everything that human effort could do, could accomplish, and nothing was going to work out. So I went to our team, we had a little town hall. I was like, hey everybody, this is the situation. No one's losing their jobs, we're going to reallocate you to other programs, but we're going to have to stop the operation here in Orlando, 80% plus for 3 months. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. It was very emotional. Our team, obviously, they're more on the front line than me, and they, it was just, it was tough. And so we had 2 weeks before this would happen. Just so happened that that same day after that town hall, a reporter came. The reporter came to do a story on something else, But then we were talking about stuff, and I shared about what was going on, and she's like, actually, let's talk about that. So that was that first news story right there on the left. And so, I shared with her what was going on. And then that led to another news story and another news story, Channel 6, Channel 2, Channel 13. And, all of them were trying to, just sharing about how SALT will be shutting down in 2 weeks, basically, in downtown Orlando. Now, I told our team when we were meeting in that town hall, I was like, look, all we can do right now is pray. That's all we can do. There's no other option for us right now. You know, long story short, someone reaches out to us about our Sanford operation, totally unrelated to everything going on. They want to talk about Sanford and what we're doing there and stuff like that. We scheduled a meeting. The night before the meeting, this is about 10 days in, the night before the meeting, her and her family see the news stories. They're like, and so they talk with their family a little bit. I meet with her on that 10th day, you know, 4 days before we're going to shut down. And she asks about it. She's like, hey, I just saw this, what's going on here? I shared it with her. She's like, okay, well, let me talk to my family. Maybe there's something we could do to help. You know, I don't know, I can't promise anything, but let's see what we can do. And she texts me a few hours later, and she says, Eric, we're going to give you $300,000. So human effort can only take us so far, right? We did everything we can using human effort. And when we do that, right, in all of our stories, right, in our everyday lives, we do stuff, we do everything we can in human effort, but the rest, God has to make up that difference. And that's where prayer comes in, right? That's when miracles happen. And so, anyway, you could see here, the news stories, these journalists are good journalists, so they have to circle back and say, well, we can't leave a news story out there saying that salt's shutting down. We got to do another news story about how salt's continuing. So then we get 6 more news stories about salt. And they're all talking about how this miracle happened, right? And I got to share the story, and we prayed, like, God, you are going to get the glory for this. You will get the glory for this. And so one news story actually included, right there in the middle, that one, it included God kind of in the headline, right? It says, unexpected $300K donation secures homeless services in Orlando. Quote, we prayed for a miracle. So, I share, I'm on our social media and stuff, and I took a little screenshot on my phone. I have an iPhone, clicked the little 2 buttons, took a screenshot, put it on Instagram, and shared a little bit about what God did. Because we're really praying. We want to get this story out to everyone so they can see how God provides. And so guess what? I posted on Instagram. It gets almost 3.8 million views on Instagram. It goes viral. It's just a screenshot. I work for hours sometimes making a little Instagram video, and I'm like, yeah, that one's going to go viral. Nothing happens. I take a little screenshot, and this ends up going viral. And that's confirmation that God was going to get the glory for this. And it went out to 3.8 million people on what God did in Orlando to secure services in the city. I'm going to share one last story with you. It's a story about someone very, very close to us. The gentleman in the gray shirt, blue pants, his name is Patrick. So we met Patrick. This is the early days. We just got the shower trailer. We met him right at the end of 2018, and he was so grateful for his shower. He's like, you know what? I want to give back somehow. I want to do something. Like, I can't just take this. Like, what can I do? And we're like, because we clean and sanitize the shower after each person. It's a dignity thing for us. We want to make sure that the shower is clean and sanitized so that even we would want to take a shower in it. We'd feel comfortable taking a shower, right? So he's like, you know what? Let me do that. I'll clean and sanitize the showers after everybody. That'll be my contribution. So he'll come in the morning. Whenever we did the outreach back then in 2018, once a month, 2019, twice a month, he'd come out there, he'd clean and sanitize. And he'd take a shower first, clean and sanitize, work the whole day in the sun, and then at the end of the day, take another shower, right? Because he got all sweaty. So he takes 2 showers a day. And so anyway, in 2020, when we, he ended up becoming part of the family, right? So that's us celebrating his birthday with him back in 2019. Really got to know him and his story. When we were going to hire staff members, it was only natural that we hired Patrick, right, in 2020. And so we ended up hiring him, and he became part of the team. I mean, he called the shower trailer his baby, right? I mean, we had to. He loved that thing. And so, we ended up hiring him, brought him on. So one thing I want to share, I'll share a quick testimony here in between. So my wife and I one night, we were sitting there and we had been praying about this. It was really concerning because at the beginning of COVID, we had employees that didn't feel comfortable working all outside and then going home to vulnerable family members, right? So we wanted to find a way to give them an option to say where they can go somewhere else and maybe clean up, or maybe they could spend a few days there, make sure that they're okay, they don't have COVID before going home or whatever. And so one night, my wife and I was like, I think it was like midnight or something. We just felt this strong impression to message the Hilton. So we went on the Hilton website. I didn't message any other hotel, no other hotel. God impressed us to message the Hilton. We went online, went on a little contact page even. I didn't even have a contact. I went on their website, just went on a little contact page. Hey, this is Saul, this is what we do. This is our dilemma right now. So a week later, they reach out, they say, hey, we want to meet, let's meet. I meet with them, and they're like, you know what, it's so funny you reached out to us. We're housing a National Guard here, so we can spare 4 other rooms. They gave us $100,000 worth of room stays in 4 months. And so our staff was now able to go somewhere else, to clean up, to spend a couple days if they need to, if they're feeling a little sick, to not go home to their vulnerable family members. And so when we moved, Patrick went from experiencing homelessness to the Hilton, right? To experiencing the Hilton. Because that Hilton, it was a nice one too, And so he was real happy, but when he got into the Hilton, we started to make sure to put money away for him. So that way, at the end of that stay, we didn't even tell him, it was a surprise. We wanted to, at the end of that stay, we want to say, hey, look, we got first month's rent, we got security deposit, we got a few months covered, and then you can just continue from there, So in June, about 3 months after him working with us, he started to limp. And we're like, yeah, why are you limping? He's like, I don't know, it might be a pinched nerve or something, I'm good, don't worry about it. And then the beginning of July of 2020, he's like, you know what, this is really painful, like let me go get checked out. So our staff member here, Carlos in the middle, ended up taking him to the hospital and doctor checked him out. And the doctor ended up telling him that he had stage 4 lung cancer. It had metastasized and spread to his hip, and that's why he was limping. So instead, we took that money we were saving for him. We got him a hotel in downtown because he wanted to see loved ones before, he only had a few weeks. So he wanted to see loved ones and people he cared about before, before he passed. And in that room, that's the first day he moved into that room. When he moved into the Hilton, when someone's out of fight or flight mode, right? It's much easier for someone to make a commitment to doing devotionals and you spending more time with God and things like that, because you have a roof over your head, right? You're in AC, you're not thinking about where your next meal's coming from or where am I going to sleep tonight or, and so he actually started doing devotionals when he moved into that Hilton. He'd post them on Facebook and give little thoughts, with texts and things like that. And, in this hotel room here, he told us his last request was that he wanted to be baptized. So we brought a pastor over, and he was baptized in the bathtub of that room. He couldn't move much, so we couldn't bring him anywhere else. So it was right there in that room. And so, about a week later, he moved to hospice. That's my wife with him in hospice. We were there. We spent some time with him, watched TV with him. We prayed with him, and he ended up passing away that next morning. And so one thing that we're so grateful for is that we will see him in heaven. Amen. And all of you will get to see him in heaven too. Amen. And we'll introduce you when we get to heaven. We do this for people like Patrick, right? There are so many people out there like him in this community that just need a community. They need someone to show love, to believe in them. And there's so many people out there, and that's what we feel called to do. And we should all feel called to do that. One thing that I'll end on this, and then we'll say a prayer. One thing that, people ask me, like, hey, Eric, you guys have served so many different people over the years, over 7,000 different people, right? What is the common denominator between them? And a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're all addicts, or they all have mental illness, or whatever. And we're like, and if that were the case, 5% of the general population has severe mental illness, but not all of that 5% is experiencing homelessness, right? So severe mental illness is not a cause of homelessness. So my dad has a severe mental illness. He has schizophrenia. He's not experiencing homelessness right now. Now here's the difference. When someone goes through that mental health episode, when someone goes through that addiction, when someone gets evicted from their home or loses their job, they have no one in their life that's able or willing to help them through that time. All of those 7,000 different people, they had no one that was able or willing to help them. So we as SALT and we as God's church, right? Here, all of us here are called to be that person rooting for them in their corner, to believe in them even when they stumble, even when they fall, but to continue fighting for them and showing them the love of Christ. That they can, yes, eventually one day be in a home, but also one day be in their heavenly home as well. So we'll say a quick prayer. I'll just close out my piece here. Father, I thank you for the opportunity to share what you're doing here, Father. I pray that those that heard what you are doing, Father, are inspired to do more for you, are inspired to seek you even more, and to serve you with all of their heart. I thank you, Father, and pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.